And just like that, the time on Prime is done. A lot of people are upset that it wasn't there longer. A lot of people are probably not. I don't know why, but let's go into the good, the bad, and the ugly of NASCAR on Prime this year. And in all honesty, the bad and ugly is kind of nitpicky. So starting with the good, the production was top notch, and I don't think anyone was expecting anything less from Prime. If you watch Thursday Night Football or any other sports coverage that they had on Prime, you would see just how good everything was. And I think that it was state of the art in all honesty. It reminded me and was reminiscent of the early 2000s in where Fox and NBC would go all out with their NASCAR coverage. The sound, for instance, was so early 2000s with how many mics they had set up all over the place with this broadcast. The camera quality was probably the best looking NASCAR broadcast I'd ever seen. And something that was captured that you only really see at the racetrack was just how the tires looked when they were driving through the corners and you could see them more. You could honestly see how different it looked compared to, say, a Fox broadcast or an NBC broadcast. And that's how it looks at the track. It got the best at-track experience you possibly could have gotten. Going back to that sound aspect of it, you could hear the crashes unlike any other way you could before. That crash in the backstretch at Charlotte with Zane Smith, you could hear it. The crowd noise was there. Again, something we need in so many more broadcasts. And NBC has gotten better with it, but Fox has lacked so sorely. Hell, when you were on board, you can even hear even better the throttle control that these cars had. And that's something that you just don't get unless there's actual good production put into this. And there was great production. Also, another good thing, the energy. The energy of this broadcast was fresh, it was new, it was energetic. It was not lackadaisical, lackluster, or lethargic. It wasn't the 3 Ls. The booth, for instance, Adam Alexander, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Steve Letarte all oozed with chemistry, apart from Dale Jr.'s bad first stage at Charlotte where he just was all over the place. I think his jitters were a little too high on that one. But Adam Alexander, for instance, he lets the other two talk. The experts need to talk when things come up during the broadcast like that, and he knows it. A great way to see a good and great broadcaster, or maybe even the difference between a good and a great broadcaster and announcer, is that the announcer knows when to shut up and let the race or let the experts talk. And Adam Alexander has gotten so much better with that, where he doesn't have to fill that empty space. He lets the racing talk. He lets Dale and Steve talk. And speaking of Dale and Steve, they were picking up right off where they left at NBC. Steve Letarte has been really good, and NBC's allowed him to shine in recent years. Prime has allowed him to shine in ways that I don't think he was able to before. It's like Steve is calling a race literally for a driver when he's calling the race from the booth. And of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the driver aspect, of course he's top-notch with that, but he's top-notch with the knowledge all over the place of this sport, and the energy is there again. You get the Dale Jr. jump scares all over again. In the pits, Snyder, Kim Kuhn, Trevor Bayne, they were all able to interview and report as needed. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel. They just needed to be able to expand upon what was talked about on the broadcast, as well as what was happening in those moments. The pre- and post-race crew, I thought overall did a great job. Danielle Trotta does what she needs to do as a host and doesn't really step over toes. There's so many times, look at ESPN, where hosts of shows will talk over the experts or the actual talking heads to the point where you're thinking they're making it all about them. She didn't do that, and really that's all she needed to do. Corey LaJoie and Carl Edwards, in my opinion, both excelled in this role. LaJoie has been great on camera and behind the mic for a long time. You've seen it on his podcast, and while he might not be the most popular person anymore, there's a reason he got so popular. Carl Edwards, he's always been great when it comes to being in front of the camera and behind the mic, and they were able to get every last drop of why that is the case out of him. New additions too, for instance, the burn bar was, in my opinion, a great way to simplify the fuel game, to show just how much fuel they were burning off at a certain point and why drivers were driving a certain way. That's something, again, Prime does really well. It shows why drivers do what they do. With Fox, it was so bad where you just think, man, I don't know why they're doing that. We've only seen the top 3 all day, and the booth seems like they couldn't care less about the race until the last 5 laps, if they even care then. Where here, they're showing me the thinking behind it. Why a dumb move in hindsight might have looked really appealing in that moment. And that's something that, again, you don't get unless you get this care. Having a longer pre- and post-race show, that's a new addition now. Something that's brought back from the early 2000s and maybe even the early 2010s, if you will. Less commercials always will be a plus. The biggest benefit of streaming so far has been shown. The fact that they don't have to have as many commercials on, and they can play around with how the commercials are shown. Because there were less overall of the commercials, there were less full screen ads by a large amount. I think it was single-digit minutes of a 5 to 7 hour broadcast with the 600 or with Michigan or whatever that had full screen ads, and there were no commercials in the last 20 to 30% of these races. That's something that cannot be understated with helping retain people to watch. It's really hard to retain people when you're chopping stuff up into little 5-minute bite-sized pieces, and those are the commercials. You have racing just sort of stuck in the middle of it, like network TV has to do. This is all the direction that broadcasts, not just for NASCAR, but in general with entertainment, should be going in the modern era. And you know what? The last big thing that I think is really, really good is you went where the younger audience has went. The younger audience in general, across America especially, has went to streaming, and Prime is the leader in streaming. The youngest audience that has been in a NASCAR audience in a decade or so was the Prime audiences. That can't be understated again. I cannot say enough how much I like the direction that NASCAR went with this, even if it's a short-term retraction for long-term growth. Now, I will finish off being a little critical, and I will start with the bad aspect, in my opinion. And a few of those are, for one, I think it is difficult for change when it comes to long-term fans. Now, I get those fans that don't want to change at all and are refusing to. I'm not talking about them. What I'm talking about is the fans that have been around for 30 to 40 years, and they're not really well-versed in streaming. And sometimes, you know what, it's just difficult to change after so long. After all, we've been on Fox for the 600 since 2001. I mean, that is a long-ass time to be on one channel for one race. And it's going to be difficult to get a lot of those people over. For those who tried, and maybe it was just difficult, and you know, maybe they at least gave it the effort and did get over, but they're not really a fan of it, I get that part. I think that's okay because those people actually tried something new and expanded upon something they might not have been all that eager to do. It's the others I just find really funny. Another part of the bad, and it can be not denied in any way, is the viewership. It's low. Most of the races were hovering around the 2 million line, and a few of them were below the 2 million line. Now, there is a positive with this. For instance, when the NFL went with their Thursday Night Football package, it cratered the first year. But then year 2 went up about 23% or so, and year 3 went up 11%, and now it's higher than it's ever been. NASCAR is banking on this happening, but we haven't seen that happen yet. So for now, this is a bad, but it can be switched to a good long term. And also, the other bad thing is not so much bad, but just more a nitpick is I do think the post-race show could be streamlined. I think having it be an hour is great. I think that keeping people in and talking about what they saw instead of just a pre-race show is a step forward. But I do think that, for instance, with interviews, why not get people on that people want to hear on earlier? As for the lone ugly aspect, it's the initial response online from so many stupid people. I have a video about it with highlights on the dumbest and the funniest ones if you want to see them, but some of them were just absolutely insane, like comparing it to communism. Just absolute asinine but funny-ass stuff. So that's about the ugliest I could get with it. There's really nothing ugly from Prime itself, and the bad is nitpicky. And my overall grade for this is an A. I think there are things that can be improved upon, and they are not really reaching their full potential yet. So I hesitate to give the A+, but an A is still way better than any broadcast we have seen, in my opinion, since about 2012 or 13. So with that, I want to know what you think. What do you grade Prime's coverage in 2025 for NASCAR? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support. Until next time, have a good one.